The Grand River is the largest watershed in southern Ontario. It starts 2 hours northwest of Toronto and flows 280 kilometers south, emptying into Lake Erie, and it passes through a ton of small cities and towns along the way. I grew up in a town built along the river, and in the summer of 2020, my brother and I planned a trip to take our kayaks to the start of the river and paddle our way home. It would take 3 days of paddling at least 8 hours a day, and we did have some setbacks, but we got to see some things you can't really experience any other way. We drove up to our starting point on a Saturday and launched just below the Shan Dam, which is the farthest upstream we could realistically start.
Yeah, same. That's cool.
After about 40 minutes, we reached this little dam that we portaged around and then headed toward downtown Fergus. The first settlers of this area were actually freed slaves who were given the land for fighting alongside the British in the American Revolutionary War. Later, the town of Fergus was founded by Scottish immigrants, and the town still hosts an annual Scottish festival and Highland Games. I thought the dam was small enough that I could just paddle right over it.
Yeah. I was not meaning to do that 180. Whoa!
There's no walkable portage around the dam in the Elora Falls, so we did what any true outdoorsman would do, and got our mom to drive us to the next launch. From there, we were on our own until we made it home. The rest of the first day was smooth paddling, but we had left late, and we weren't sure we would make it to our campsite before dark. We had to camp on islands to avoid private property, and there are only so many suitable for camping. That evening, we passed under the West Montrose Covered Bridge, which is one of the oldest covered bridges in Canada and the only one left in Ontario. When the sun was just about down, we came to this little island. It wasn't the campsite we had planned for, but it would have to do. We were going through our supply of water fast, so I kept hoping to see somewhere we could refill, but there weren't many towns to pass through before we reached Waterloo. Luckily, late in the afternoon we came to a little town called Bridgeport, so we stopped there to stock up on food and water and then kept on our way. Soon after that, we passed under this train bridge with a huge Bible verse on the side. I looked up the passage later, and it said, "Whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And God doeth it, that men should fear before him." Make of that whatever you want. After a quick portage, we made it to our campsite for the night. This time, we had plenty of daylight left. We set up camp, had dinner and a fire, and my brother and I had a chance to talk and catch up. Even though we were on the edge of the 10th largest metro area in the country, we didn't see or hear much of civilization. This part of the river is slow and winding, with cliffs on the right side. The Mohawk name for the Grand actually means Willow River, because of the amount of willow trees along its banks, as you can see here. Around midday, we saw we were headed into Cambridge. There's a big dam to avoid, so we were careful to pull off above it. The Cambridge area was settled by Europeans over 200 years ago. It has a ton of historic bridges and buildings, many of them built right along the water. The city used to be a manufacturing powerhouse in the days when industry relied on the river for power. Luckily, there's a little island where I was able to walk my kayak around the dam.
Hey.
Along the trip, we saw lots of blue herons, deer, and all kinds of wildlife I didn't get on camera, like bald eagles, beavers, foxes, muskrats, and a bunch more. We passed through these huge pillars called the Three Sisters, which are the remnants of an old train bridge. And then, in the distance, we saw home. Paris has been called the cobblestone capital of Canada because of the amount of cobblestone buildings in town. Though some people think it has a European feel to it, its name actually has nothing to do with Paris, France. It was named for nearby deposits of gypsum, which is used to make plaster of Paris. At the south end of town, we pulled into the boat launch near our house. We were home, after paddling about 110 kilometers. Overall, it was a great trip, and I'd recommend paddling the Grand to anyone who's interested. It's generally a calm and manageable river, and it's a great way to see some of Ontario outside of doing a typical road trip. Thanks for watching.
Should we go through here? Oh, no, this is not the way. Don't go this way.